Talk a little bit about empathy, because I imagine, and I could be wrong, that when people notice that you are different in this way, that they perhaps react differently towards you than they did when you were sort of more sighted or better sighted.
So the cons of what you've just asked are that, yes, people, when they look at me, at first glance, they don't think that there's anything wrong with me. They just think, oh, she's clearly fine, because I have the ability of eye tracking, because I did see at some point. I can kind of, when you speak, I can kind of tell where your eyes are, so I look straight at somebody, and so someone doesn't really know. But as soon as I tell them, by the way, can I please have a bit of help? I can't see. They look at me like I'm an alien, like I've just spoken Chinese to them, and they're like, Madam, but unaniangalia, you're looking at me. And I say, well, yeah, but I'm telling you, I cannot see. And they do all these things like, well, how many fingers am I holding up? And you know,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
like I have to prove that I can't see to somebody. And general things as well about the workplace. I've been discriminated against in the workplace. I've not been given jobs because of my eyesight. Though they don't say it, obviously, you can tell that's the reason, because, you know, I have the education, I've got the experience, and I have the drive and the passion, but it's just that they kind of see me as an extra cost. The things that they'd have to maybe buy or facilitate for me to be able to work easily is an extra cost for them. And yeah, things like exclusion from things as well. I've lost a lot of friends because they feel as though, because I'm different, that, you know, it's like, oh, we don't really know how to handle Crystal nowadays, you know. They don't say it like I say again, but I've lost many friends. They don't treat me the same, for sure. It's really funny because since I've become visually impaired, I've been able to see a new level of loneliness when I'm in a room of people, for sure.
What do you mean by that?
I can be in someone's home, at a party, at a gig that I'm doing with my band or something like that, and because I cannot see, I feel alone, even though I'm right there with you. Yeah, and as much as people try to, you know, do the verbal description of things, like, you know, try and include me. Oh, by the way, Crystal, you know, so and so just walked in, and you know they're serving so and so over here. You still feel alone. There is a level of loneliness because you cannot see, you can't share whatever everyone else is experiencing, and so yeah, it's really lonely. Exclusion is really lonely.
Is there any way to change that? So if, you know, if I was with you at a party, or indeed, you know, on an everyday basis, how do we include our VIPs even more, so that the fact of just the fact of this difference does not exclude you? What would you love done differently?
I think I would love people to understand patience, that we need patience, that we can't do things as fast as you can anymore, that I can't do things as accurately maybe as I used to. And a bit of patience and a bit of grace really goes a long way to make me feel more comfortable and more included. Another thing I would also say is that have a problem-solving mindset on my behalf, because I have to deal with my visual impairment, and I mean that is hard enough without the next person coming over and, you know, also, you know, putting another weight on my shoulder around my visual impairment. So just having a more of a problem-solving mindset. For example, hey Crystal, I found this new app that can really help you do X, Y, Z. Hey Crystal, I found this, you know, talking microwave. Do you think that can we like go in and have a look, and maybe you can buy it? Hey Crystal, I found a new training at so-and-so institution, which, you know, helps you with mobility or orientation. Hey Crystal, we just spoke to our local MP about these pavements. You know, we need to fix these potholes, so you can use your white cane easily. Like that kind of mindset, because then I feel like, you know, we're in this together, even though we're not, you know, I feel like, you know, a bit of support, a bit of a push really does help me. And that's what I think has been the best thing about the people that are around me. The people who have stayed, who have stuck, I couldn't have asked for better people. Family and the very few close friends that I have, they've been amazing at support.
You have the most incredible vlog, Blind Girl Manenos.
Blind Girl Manenos,
yes.
Yeah.
One of your other superpowers when you're not singing.
I'm not singing, I'm making people laugh with my little visual impairment stories. Yes, Blind Girl Manenos is my vlog on YouTube. And basically what I'm trying to do there is just a bit of edutainment. Lighthearted, of course, because I love to laugh. I mean, let's face it. But also trying to tackle serious issues like you know, the issues that VIPs go through, especially in Kenya, compared to where I've lived before in the UK, how different it is to go through things, how tough it is. I also talk about things like fun things about, you know, how I do blind dating and, you know, and how I clean on my own, how I cook for myself, how I go traveling on my own, and things like that. Just lots of things that I feel that people always ask me that I want to demystify in my Blind Girl Manenos vlog. And then also have people ask me more questions so that I can answer more questions, because I feel as though if you don't ask me, then I can't explain to you the real perspective on what we go through. And if I can't explain that to you, then you'll continue having the perception that you have already because of whatever media perpetuates or whoever it is that, you know, makes the rules about disabilities.
How do you distinguish money?
How do I distinguish money? I don't. Not in Kenya. It's really difficult. Do you know why?
Why?
Ask me, thank you. Because the denominations in Kenya are obviously 1,000, 500, 200, 150.
Yes.
And apart from the 1,000 being like 2 millimeters, maybe bigger, and the 50 shillings being like 2 millimeters, like smaller, there is no other way to differentiate the notes. So it's really difficult for me to like go about my day and do like normal transactions. Buying myself a cup of tea, it's really difficult. Thank God for M-Pesa though. But apart from that, in different countries, what they do is they have different types of textures for different notes, or maybe a curved edge instead of the 90-degree edge on the note, so you know that this one is whatever note it is. Maybe one is much smaller than the other, much bigger than the other, things like that. Some have little bumps on them as well to let you know that this might be a specific note. So the issue with Kenya is that none of that is incorporated in the note system. So even though I've had lots of training, and I'm very proactive in training myself on how to do things my own way, one of the biggest issues that I have, and people in the visually impaired community in Kenya have, is the note system. Because people take advantage of that big time, and you'd be surprised how often they will do it.
Really?
So long as they can, they'll do it. And obviously that's not everyone.
Oh, hold on. Y'all going to hell. Y'all going to hell now. You just understand that.
Renee
Okay,
just told
moving
you.
on.
So yeah, it's something that I really am trying to lobby for with Central Bank of Kenya to see how this can be changed. We're in discourse, and if they're watching this, that'll be great to give them a bit of a push as well, because we really need it. Because I want to be a functioning, you know, fully functioning, not just half functioning citizen of the country who contributes, and also just furthers my life forward. And I can't do that without having to deal with something as simple as money.
Do you in some way, or did you in some way physically or, you know, deliberately, consciously decide what your new normal was going to be like?
I think that happened in many small pinpoint moments in my life. It wasn't just like one moment. It was many small decisions that I made. For example, I made the decision to live on my own when I came back from the UK. I didn't want to live with anybody or live with my parents, because I just thought that's not going to help me move forward. It's going to keep me in the same place. So I did that. I made the decision to book myself into appointments when I was in the UK, even though I was all on my own, no parents, no family at all. I got myself up and said, I'm going to go and I'm going to see what they're going to say, what's the solution. I was researching on the internet. I was calling all types of friends who I knew were in the same situation, perhaps, or had somebody who were. I was being very proactive, and I also bought myself a white cane, which was something that was it was a big milestone for me. Well, buying a white cane, it was like me admitting to myself that I was different. And it's something that, it's something that people can always see. Because right now, if I walk around, nobody will really notice. They'll pay me no mind. But if I pull out my white cane, everyone will look at me. They'll stare, they'll point, they'll whisper. And I notice, because of my senses being a bit heightened now. And buying a white cane was definitely an emotional moment for me. I bought it and I kept it in its case, in my bag, in my room, for around 2 or 3 months.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I didn't open it, didn't touch it. It was just always there, just for when I was ready to use it. And then one day I just said, Crystal, it might help somebody else. You don't know who's looking at you. You don't know who's following your story. You don't know who's cheering you on, who draws inspiration from you. So you pulling out your white cane, or pulling out whatever difficulty that you have in your life and showing it to the world, can help so many people that you might never ever know. But the point is that you need to do it. Even if it's just one person that you help, then you need to do it. And that's what makes me do the things that I'm doing right now. You know, traveling from Masa to Nairobi, you know, going into matatus in town, you know, almost getting hit by manyangas and kokotenis and whatever, because I'm just like, I need to do it because somebody else might be watching that I could help.
Crystal, obviously with the numbers of people who, for one reason or another, whether it's, you know, accident or illness or injury or whatever, genetics are not only for those who are losing their sight, but also for those whose life has changed, physically changed, for whatever way, you know, whether it's health related or sometimes even whether it's business or life changes that happen to you. You know, when life happens to you, when life like turns the corner and it's like, oh, I've got your name on my speed dial.
Yes.
What would you say that would help someone watching and listening to you today that could just move them from that place of utter despair that I know you went through, maybe even a desire to end it all, to where they can accept their new normal?
I was in that place as well. I thought about ending it for myself as well, because I didn't know how to handle it in the beginning. But something that I would say for sure is that change is inevitable in any circumstance, whether you are visually impaired or all the different examples that you just mentioned, whether it's financial, family, you know, work, whatever it is, change is inevitable. So it's just about how you perceive that change. If you can change the circumstance, then you should do it. But if you can't, then just change how you look at that circumstance. That's what I have done, absolutely. And that's why I laugh about my visual impairment instead of being, you know, sorrowful about it, because I've changed my perspective on it. And also I say that it's okay to have a moment and, you know, sort of, you know, be in that moment for a while, but don't unpack and live there, because that's what's going to take you really out of perspective and out of the game, really, because it's all mental. That's what I believe. It's all mental. As much as people can give you medicines or they can give you solutions, if you and your mind and your spirit are not, you know, plugging into that solution or that medicine or whatever it is, that solution, then it's not going to work. So it's definitely a mental thing. Change your perspective on it, and then just keep moving forward. Basically, keep taking one foot in front of the other.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't hide it, do it, show it, accept an amazing new normal, because somebody else might just be watching you, looking for you, waiting to hear your story so that they themselves can find the words to describe a new normal that allows them to be phenomenal. Crystal, I'm choking up.
No,
but then I always do every single time we talk. It's like,
you'll make me choke up as well. But it's necessary. I think if you're given a burden this big, there must be a reason. So just grab that reason, grab it with both hands and just run with it. So long as you have support around you, I think it's possible for anyone.
And that's why we do this, so that you can hear from phenomenal women. Thank you ever so much for watching MAKEDA, stories of phenomenal women. Please do leave a comment below, and also I will leave a link so that you can follow Blind Girl Monenos and Crystal, and perhaps just think again about how we create the infrastructure, how we deal with people who are superpowered, like Crystal is, and see them not for what they do not have, but instead for what they do and how much they contribute towards making our life that much richer. As always, thank you so much to Ola Sereni Hotel for hosting us in this beautiful venue. And thank you for watching MAKEDA, stories of phenomenal women. My name is Renee. We'll see you soon.